All right, the animal phyla I researched was Arthropoda, and Arthropoda means jointed feet. First, I'll talk about the ancient origins of arthropods. Thanks to the Cambrian explosion, arthropods are one of the oldest phyla of animals. They have been a staple of life going through significant changes throughout time and fluctuating in tune with the oxygenation levels of the Earth's air and water. One of the most important features of arthropods is their segmentation. They have a bilateral plane of symmetry made up of repeating parallel structures in their bodies. This allowed many new evolutionary breakthroughs, almost like modules being added onto the base template. Segmentation appears in animal phyla Arthropoda, Annelida or worms, and Chordata. The first fossil records of arthropods appear in the Cambrian period, 542 million to 488 million years ago, and are represented by trilobites, merastomes, and crustaceans. The trilobites were once the dominant life form on the planet, despite being simple organisms compared to today's diversity. While their segmented appendages were mostly the same, arthropods we see today have evolved much more variety and function for their segments. This image shows the variation among trilobite cousin species and how similar they were. Early arthropods had little variation between segments. Trilobites can be considered an important subphylum of arthropods, but they are now extinct. The trilobite was mostly a marine animal whose life was dictated by water currents. They are reminiscent of today's horseshoe crab. While Chordata would take over the swimmable ocean, these animals stuck to the seafloor, relying on chitin exoskeletons for defense. Next, I'll talk about the signs of evolution. A defining feature that was not seen in the first arthropods is the three distinct body regions. The head is generally responsible for sensory input, either from antennae or eyes, and food intake. The thorax connects the head and abdomen, as well as being the starting point for most legs and wings if applicable. The abdomen houses the reproductive organs for sexual reproduction, as well as spinnerets in the case of spiders. An interesting feature evolved in the arthropods known as the cephalothorax. This is a combination of the head and thorax, while the abdomen still remains separate from the rest of the animal's body. Here the segments fused and became specialized for different functions. A key feature of the arthropods is the exoskeleton. Made out of hard chitin, animals in this phyla depend on this evolutionary trait for defense against predators, historically and today. Arthropods will go through cycles of molting and regrowing their exoskeletons as they grow. Plants first colonized the land in the Ordovician period, so arthropods evolved into insects and eventually moved to land to capitalize on this undeveloped food source. The complex ecosystem of plants were just waiting for an animal species to emerge from the ocean to tap into it as a food source. A trait shared with many Chordata and Annelida is bilateral symmetry. This can be seen in the paired and jointed appendages of arthropods, which include legs, mandibles, antennae, pincers, claws, wings, and many other body features mirrored across the body. So there are five generally important subphyla of arthropods, and four of which, the Chelicerata, Myriapoda, Hexapoda, and Crustacea, are alive today, and the Trilobita, which is extinct. And some people classify the myriapod and hexapod groups together, but for this presentation, they'll be separate. First off, the Chelicerata are defined by the chelicerae appendages, which start right behind the mouth. This appendage is mostly used to assist feeding, but in some spiders also works as a venomous tool. They first appear as marine animals in the Middle Cambrian and have evolved to include land animals as well. The sea animals include current horseshoe crabs, sea spiders, and extinct Euryptera, or sea scorpions. Land animals include arachnids, spiders, scorpions, and mites. The Myriapoda subphylum remains entirely on land. Here we see the vegetarian millipedes on the left. Centipedes on the right are carnivorous myriapods that hunt for small insects, spiders, and other arthropods. The Myriapoda are a great example of the segmentation found in arthropods. For instance, known centipede species are found with 30 to 354 legs, but due to bilateral symmetry, they always occur in pairs. Unlike the simple eyes of the Chelicerata, animals in the Hexapoda subphylum evolved complex eyes, like what we see in flies. In addition, hexapods have antennae as well as the head, thorax, and abdomen combination. Hexapods include the insects, which is the most diverse group of animals in the arthropod phylum. Insects are animals with the three distinct body regions, a pair of antennae, 6 legs, and some that have evolved wings for flight. Insects in the Carboniferous started to evolve wings, and throughout the Paleozoic, oxygen levels got very high. Earth's air contained 31 to 35% oxygen as compared to just 21% oxygen in the air today. And this helped the insects grow to as large as they ever would be. The Crustaceous subphylum has a diverse set of appendages, showing the variation potential for appendages. They have 10 or more legs, 2 pairs of antennae, sometimes pincers, an abdomen, and a cephalothorax. Crustaceans include crabs, lobsters, crayfish, shrimp, krill, and barnacles. And here are my sources. Thank you.